Good evening, all. This is Jack from Charting the Markets, and this is the Bigger Picture webinar for the evening of Sunday, the 2nd of August. My disclaimer, I do this for educational purposes only. I'm going to share my technical analysis with you. I hope you can take some of what I'm doing, learn from it, transfer it to your own charts, and not HFC trading signals. Now, it's been another fun weekend on the straightforward news. We saw some genuinely blood-curdling threats about the total expansion of the war, which would completely devastate Iran over the weekend. But there was a clue there in that there was a suggestion that this was to force the Iranians back to the table. And I didn't think that was particularly likely, but that didn't, and I don't think that happened. But that didn't stop Trump announcing that one, he'd cancelled these, and two, he'd cancelled these because the broad strokes of a deal had now been done. The Iranians were keen to engage. This is with repeated denials from the Iranians that anything of the sort was happening. So we are seeing. We saw some movement up on Friday, and we have seen we're currently up 40 overnight. Now, on Friday morning, we had a week 6-minute sell signal fixed on ES, and that's on the verge of failing if it hasn't failed yet, but I don't think it quite has. But it's very close, and it may well fail overnight. That obviously is a strike against the bears. In terms of the diamond top here, obviously we got back over the diamond top support. We back tested it on Friday, and we are proceeding up towards resistance. And at that point, generally speaking, if we get over that resistance trend line, I'd be inclined. It's not the place where it's not like getting over a right shoulder high on a head and shoulders where it would definitely be done, but I'd be inclined to say that shouldn't break. So I'll be watching that carefully tomorrow. On NQ, we got a 6-minute sell signal fixed there too. That's not in imminent danger. We could be forming an inverted head and shoulders here. Sorry, I'll just draw that. I'll be watching that because that may well break up tomorrow. Of course, once it breaks up, of course, it can fall back into the lows or it can continue up into the highs. But we could, of course, break up. I'm seriously considering the possibility we'll see it break up, not because of any news deal. I think that's just smoke. It's not even smoke and mirrors, it's just smoke. But the question is, we've had a couple of good days where tech's actually been leading. Now, that's the first time that's happened in weeks. And if we see that continue to be the case, then we could actually do some significant technical damage, which wasn't done on Friday, but could. Most definitely could be done in the first couple of days next week, so I'll be watching that carefully. In terms of RTY, we still got a head and shoulders, which is broken down, diamond tops, obviously, which is still broken down on ES and NQ. RTY, we've got a head and shoulders that's broken down with a target in the 28-23 area. YM, we actually, the original head and shoulders here has failed. So, sorry, wait a second. Because... Oh, has that failed? No, it hasn't failed yet. We need to get over this level here. And that's also, of course, the right shoulder for the larger head and shoulders. So watching that with interest. If that fails tomorrow, of course, that is another strike against the bears. In terms of DAX, still wondering about a high retest. We've still got pretty close to the IHS target, and basically that's just below the retest target, which I'm thinking may well happen next. In terms of the ESTX, we got pretty close to a high retest there too, and I'm thinking regardless of whether we're going to see a sustained breakup tomorrow on the others, we may well see those on DAX and ESTX. In terms of Nikkei, we've got a big head and shoulders which is broken down here, and obviously, that could fail, so watching that with interest. Not seen much of a bounce so far. All right, let's have a look at these on the bigger picture charts. Looking at SPX, we closed marginally above, 9 handles above the daily middle band on SPX on Friday, and marginally below, 3 handles below the daily middle band on ES. Basically, it was a close on the band. It wasn't a clear break above on either. In terms of the Qs, we have on the daily chart. Daily chart, we closed well below the daily middle band. This had gone down far further than the others. So daily middle band is an obvious target here, but obviously to do some significant technical damage, it's going to need to break up from it. What I would say is, in terms of the diamond top resistance. It's pretty close to the daily middle band, so I'll be watching that with great interest tomorrow, and we might get there tomorrow because yeah, we might get that tomorrow, so we shall see. In terms of the Dia chart, Dia broke back above the daily middle band, and of course that was the first one to break over last week. Not really seeing it as particularly significant in the absence of the others. And if we have a look at IWM, we had a close basically on the daily middle band there as well. It was a couple of handles below. So we haven't had breaks above the daily middle bands, but we are going to, if we sustain the current move up overnight, then we're going to see some breaks over there tomorrow. But it's where it closes tomorrow that counts. Tomorrow we have a bearish ending day. It's neutral for the rest of the week, but the 1st of August typically tends to close down, which is unusual for the first trading day of the month. All right, so that's where we are on the daily mids. Let's have a look at the rest. We're not seeing an awful lot in terms of negative divergence here. Nothing on the hourly chart. Nothing really on the 15-minute chart either. In terms of the Qs, pretty much the same, but the hourlies, we had an RSI 5 buy signal, which I was talking about on Wednesday, I think, or and we also had an RSI 14 buy signal, which is fixed and not made target yet. In terms of Dia, no current divergence on the 15-minute or the hourly. Nice looking head and shoulders, and obviously if that fails, that's going to get interesting. In terms of the Qs, I haven't actually got a reversal pattern, which is broken down here, apart from the diamond top. I have drawn this as a possible alternative bull flag here, but we're going to see some significant technical damage before we get close to the top of this. In terms of the SPX chart, we've got a head and shoulders, which is broken down with a target in the 72, 94, 18 area, and obviously we've got the main diamond top, which has broken down. All right, great. Let's have a look at IWM. And all right, looking at the 15-minute hourly chart, no real divergence here. We have got a pretty decent looking flag here too, which hasn't broken up, that I am watching, and obviously we've got a head and shoulders, which is broken down with the target in the 279 area. So waiting to see which one of these is going to deliver, and tomorrow may of course give us a direction there. DAX pretty close to a retest of the high. Nikkei, we've got an RSI 14 sell signal fixed now on the weekly chart. Nothing on the daily chart. We've got this nice head and shoulders, which is broken down. Key resistance I'm watching here is the daily middle band, and then but if we can get over that, then the right shoulder high, which is at about the 67,700 area, a break above that suggests a retest. Well, targets a retest of the high. All right, great. Let's have a look at the dollar. Now, dollar had a really interesting week last week, and I'm wondering if this is going to be a significant fail. And you can see it's continued going down tonight. We had a weak 6-minute buy signal fixed. That's not really done anything so far, but we were very close to the retest of this high here, and we have failed. Could we be forming a flag? Not an obvious one, no. I'm wondering whether we're coming down to one of these head and shoulder necklines. So that is looking interesting. In terms of the euro chart, the flag had broken down. I've redrawn it as a possible larger flag, but we may just actually be breaking up. I do have a scenario where that happens. On GBP USD, wasn't sure what was happening there, still not. USD JPY, this has seen a big intervention, and this is one of the reasons the dollar has dropped a lot, although it's been helped a lot by the euro. The euro has about 6 times as much weight in the dollar index as the yen does. But this is an awful lot of intervention from the US and from the Japanese government to break this down. Now, I'll talk more about this on the bigger picture, but this is something. When I was talking about the big retest that needs to be done at 162, I was thinking that retest might well form the second high of double top. Now, this is that double top. So I'll talk more about that on the daily chart, but I'm wondering, given that interest rates are rising in Japan, a lot of money is being repatriated, then we might actually see, without intervention, the yen start to strengthen a lot, and that is something I'm wary of, and I'll show you the pattern setup for that. In terms of USD CAD, we weren't really joining in fully on the way up, and not really joining in fully on the way down either, so this has been surprisingly passive. The basically the Canadian dollar has been gaining strength against the US dollar. Australian dollar, we had a head and shoulders which broke down and failed and retested the high. This could be a larger bear flag forming, but it's possible that isn't what's happening. And NZUSD, we do have a potential double top here, but mainly I'm watching the IHS, which broke up with the target in the 59.63 area. We saw a big retracement, kind of looked like a flag. We have gone into higher highs. I'm wondering if this is going to go the distance and make this IHS target at 59.63. All right, let's have a look at these on the bigger picture charts. And US dollar is coming down and testing trendline support from the move up from 95.55. I am watching what happens here with great interest. Could this on the bigger picture be therefore, I'm just going to draw that on here. So bear with me a moment. Could this entire move have been a bull flag? Yes. Yeah, it could. I'm watching it with great interest to see whether that might be the case. But you can see so far we've come down pretty much exactly into that. If the overnight move is sustained, we're going to break down below that tomorrow. And that, well, that will be interesting. So I'm wondering if this could be a bear flag. And we will see how that develops. No current divergence on the daily chart. In terms of the weekly chart, no current divergence here either. And I don't think we've got, we've still got the RSI 5 buy signal has reached possible near miss target on the monthly chart. The bigger picture, I'm still very aware we've got this lovely bull flag and we have had for quite a while, but equally, this whole setup here is suggesting that the dollar goes down. If we were going back to retest 114.78, I was thinking that would be in all probability the second high of a double top, and we'd come down after that. And it's possible the policies of the government are going to send dollar down before that. Certainly, the dollar should be dropping on the policies of the government, and frankly, bonds should be tanking as well. Bonds are kind of tanking. Maybe the dollar's going to join in too. All right, let's have a look at the euro. Euro's, of course, got a big bear flag as well, and GBP's got a big bear flag as well, but that's not the only picture. We've got a double top which is broken down here on the euro, and I've been mentioning the possibility this could be a bull flag, and this is the bull flag testing resistance at the moment. If we see a hard breakthrough, I'd really be wondering about a retest of this high here at 120.83. I'd be wondering about the dollar going failing back to 95.5. That could get interesting. We will see. In terms of GBP USD, not as a lot to go on there. Could be a bullish consolidation of some kind, maybe a flag, but it doesn't look as definitive as the as it does on the euro. In terms of USD JPY, this is the bigger picture on USD JPY. We've got a lovely megaphone here, and we are forming, at the moment, we've got a pretty nice looking double top. If we were to see a sustained breakdown below 140, then this would have a target in about the 116 to 120 area, and that's a pretty nice looking target. No, 116 to 118. And that would be the yen getting a lot stronger against the dollar. Now, one thing that's kept the yen so weak in recent years has been that we had very low interest rates in the yen for a very, very long time, and that was basically making it weaker. Because when it's going up here, that means because it's USD JPY rather than JPY USD, that means that the yen is weakening and the dollar is strengthening. I'm thinking that could reverse hard. And if the dollar's actually going to show a lot of weakness, then it could reverse very hard. I've got, if that was the case, I'd be wondering if this whole thing here was a bear flag, setting up a move on the yen to get back to 75.54. Obviously, the double top would only get us halfway there, but I would be wondering about it. All right, in terms of USD CAD, I do have an obvious target back at 148. I do have a nice pattern to get us back up there. And I think that's on the, pretty sure that's on the daily chart. Yeah, we've got a nice looking double bottom that's broken up with the target of the February high at 1.4793. And that's a very obvious target. Doesn't mean it has to be made. Obviously, like any other double bottom, this could just fail back into the lows. In terms of the Australian dollar, I've been wondering about a double top here. This could be developing into a head and shoulders, but it doesn't need to be. The main pattern here still looks like a double top, and NZUSD still has a triangle which is trying to break up, and maybe it's about to actually do that. If the dollar heads down rather than up for a sustained move, then this can actually head in the obvious direction, which is upwards. All right, great. Let's have a look at bonds. Okay, now bonds have been pretty weak. And we had some rather deceptive looking setups and signals on the bonds charts, which were suggesting that we might see some more strength, but it's just gone straight down through those. We've got a weak 6-minute buy signal fixed here, not been delivering a great deal. Nothing on ZN, though we've got a potential level bottom. But I think, in all honesty, if we were going to see a move up here, we'd probably already have seen it. Now, let's have a look at those, and I'll show you what I'm talking about on the bigger picture charts. Okay, TYX. TYX got a possible RSI 5 sell signal brewing. We've had a big move up, and we've now made a new high for 2026. And for the decade, of course. And on the daily chart, we had a weak RSI 5 sell signal fixed, and we haven't made it to the possible near miss target, but I'm considering the possibility seriously that this is actually just failing. We had this rising wedge here, and obviously we had broken up from that. But the really interesting thing is, but this only really applies in the event we start seeing a serious meltdown in bonds. But given the amount of debt the US is currently holding and the recklessness of current government policies in terms of just spending more money and running up more debt, then I am wondering if we might see a bonds crisis. And if we were to see a bonds crisis, then this is an inverse head and shoulders, which is breaking up with the target in the 95 area, which has broken up with the target in the 95 area. Now, I've got another one on TNX, similar sort of target. This one hasn't actually broken up yet. We haven't made it back to the neckline. This has been weaker. 10-year yields have been weaker than 30-year yields in getting back into this retest. We're already at higher highs on the 30s, but we haven't reached those yet on the 10s. In terms of the daily chart, we've got weekly chart, we've got a triangle here, which is breaking up with a target at a retest of 49.97. In terms of the daily chart, we had an RSI 5 sell signal fixed here, and I don't think that's quite failed yet, but it's damn close, and it's probably going to be failed pretty shortly. In terms of the hourly chart, we are making higher highs for 2026, but we haven't made it back to the last significant high, which was this one, which was made in 2023. All right, let's have a look at FVX, where we've got a triangle which is breaking up with a target in the 49.88 area, and on TLT, we've got a triangle there too. And that's now all finally breaking down with a target in the 73.39 area. This is all encouraging for bond bears. In terms of the chart here on TLT, we had a daily RSI 5 buy signal fixed. Sorry, I thought I'd marked that in, but obviously I haven't. Must have. Sometimes I just click the wrong button when I save. But the RSI 5 buy signal here has reached the possible near miss target. Right. So anyway, what's the upshot of this? Well, we're seeing an awful lot suggesting that we're going to be seeing bonds going lower still. And that is the obvious direction. I've been talking about it all year, and that looks like we're going to be seeing that soon. All right, in terms of the hourly chart on TLT, we do have an RSI 5 buy signal fixed, which is good for the bulls, but isn't likely to get us that far. All right, let's have a look at, hang on, wait a second. All right, let's have a look at oils. Now, this has obviously been heavily affected by all the BS over the weekend. And this was the news just before this market closed on Friday that a vast campaign, not so anything like it is World War II and so on, was about to be hit. And then this was it falling basically $10. On the basis that this was all cancelled and a deal was close to being made and so on. Now, honestly, I don't think Trump ever intended to launch a huge accelerated campaign. I think he was just trying to get the Iranians back to the table, which I suspect he hasn't managed. But this does fit with what we were seeing with the IHS here, and I mentioned last week. We had an IHS here, it broke up, it failed. Now, when you see a failure like that, the target is actually a retest of the low, and we've seen that low retest on the RTH chart, on the spot chart. We haven't quite seen it on the futures chart yet, and we might. CL, again, targeted retest the low after a failed IHS. Week 6 minute sell signal is fixed, and that's now reached the possible MS target. HO is heading a bit lower, looks more dramatic on the RTH chart. RBOB, this looks like a overall bull flag forming, but of course it doesn't have to be. And NG looks like a bear flag forming at the moment in the short term, setting up a retest this low and probably heading lower. I think I've got a target in the 2.49 area. All right, let's have a look at that on the bigger picture charts. And all right, looking at Brent on the daily chart, we've just broken the daily middle band, and this tends to be at a pretty important level in uptrends and downtrends. So if we actually break and convert this to resistance, this is suggesting that we might possibly see a retest of lows, although I'm not seeing anything apart from the amount of wind coming out of the White House suggesting that might happen for other reasons. In terms of the IHS here, that broke up and failed, and that has retested the low already. I would take this more seriously because this is the spot price. In terms of WTech, on the daily chart, we've opened basically below the daily middle band as well. And here we've not quite made it to a retest this low here at 77.76. We've got within a buck or so. So that is a move I was expecting and was a little surprised we hadn't already seen. After this, we'll see. This could be a double, slightly oversized double bottom forming. Same on Brent. They are a little oversized. It would have been better if we hadn't had the IHS first, but it could be. We will see how it develops. I think, are we on the verge of making peace in the Strait of Hormuz? Is the Strait of Hormuz close to being open? I think no on both counts. I don't think this deal with the nut any more than the last 10 or so. And I think that's because the Iranians are in fact not begging for a deal, in fact not that keen to make a deal at all. So we will see how that develops, but it may well be that like the deal just vanishes like dew in the morning, and that much of this oil decline vanishes with it, and possibly some of the equities. But I am thinking tech has been outperforming here, and it may be that tech could drag the indices back up into possible all-time high retests. All right, let's have a look at heating oil, where I've got a little level top here, which is broken down with a target of about 3.65 area, so I'm watching that. I do also have an RSI 14 sell signal that's fixed and an RSI 5 sell signal that's fixed on the daily charts. Now, this has only actually happened on the heating oil chart, so I'm not sure how seriously to take it, but it is worth noting. In terms of the gas oil daily chart, this looks like a bull flag forming. Could it be a head and shoulders? Not a pretty one, but potentially yes, but I don't think it is. In terms of the hourly chart, IHS broke up, made target. Ugly possible head and shoulders broken down, more or less made target. The question is whether we're going to make it back into a retest of the low here. We shall see. All right, looking at natural gas. Natural gas, we have been failing lower here, and I'm wondering about the buy signal has actually failed here. So I'm wondering about a retest of this last low here at 2.49. We shall see. All right, great. Let's have a look at metals. Okay, GC, I've just rolled this into December this weekend. And I've drawn in a possible triangle here. But I think I am wondering whether this is all a consolidation, setting up a retest of low, which is annoyingly not far below at all and can be done really at any time, but it hasn't been hit yet. I'm thinking we may well be bottoming from there, and I've got some evidence for that on the bigger picture charts. Silver is already retesting the low, and we've got a nice looking double bottom. Palladium and platinum, I'm wondering still on both whether they're going to need a low retest. And HG, halfway between the gutter and the stars. Doesn't look like the double top is going to break down. I'm wondering about a possible retest of the all-time high here. All right, let's have a look at those on the bigger picture charts. And Looking at gold. Gold, the RSI 5 buy signal has made it possible on their miss targets. I've signed it off. We've got an RSI 14 buy signal fixed. We've got this channel here, which is broken up. And I'm wondering about setting up a reversal pattern and heading up to the flag resistance, which I've been looking at for months now, but hasn't broken up yet. Yeah, I think I was started talking about that in April. We've got a nice looking overall double bottom here. I'm thinking another retest of the low, we can get a really nice looking bottoming setup and maybe head higher. But at the moment, precious metals have been pretty quiet. In terms of silver, I've got again a very nice bullish setup here. Not seeing much action to the upside so far, but we've also got a weak RSI 5 buy signal fixed there. And didn't we have anything on the daily charts? Sorry, on the weekly charts? Not really on that. Yeah, we've got a weak RSI 5 buy signal, which is just fixed on silver. All right, let's have a look at palladium. Palladium, we've obviously broken up for a falling wedge, which I think is a bull flag here. We've got a clear double bottom here, but doesn't really seem to be doing a great deal at the moment. On platinum, we've got a wedge and it hasn't broken up yet, and we don't have an obvious reversal pattern formed here. But we do have a daily RSI 14 buy signal fixed. In terms of copper, I'm still wondering about a retest this high here. In the 6.653 area, I have a lot of bigger picture sell signals here. I've got possible RSI 5 sell signal brewing on the monthly. I've got an RSI 14 sell signal fixed. We didn't have anything on the weekly, but I'm liking it. And we've actually got a weak RSI 14 sell signal here, although it's reached possible near miss target. Do those monthly ones tend to matter? Yeah, they do. They can take a while to, really get going, but they do tend to matter. I'm looking for a high here. In terms of GDX, still got a nice looking bottoming setup on GDXJ. We still got a nice looking bottoming setup. So, we are where we are. All right, let's have a look at the bigger picture charts. KC, this still looks like a bullish consolidation. SB. Double top could make target win the 13.98 to 14.13 area, but at the moment I'm wondering whether this is a bull flag. On CC, this is either a head and shoulders which is broken down with a target in the 4400 area, or this is a bull flag which is now starting to break up. I'm kind of leaning towards the bull flag option, but we'll see. Lumber, nice move down here. We've got a possible 60-minute buy signal brewing. We've got some bigger picture sell signals, which are encouraging me that this might finally start playing out some of the big bearish patterns I've got on this. CT, still kicking around, getting pretty close to a retest of this high here. So I'm wondering if we'll see that. On wheat, we've seen a big reversal here, and I am wondering if that might deliver more. But I'll talk more about that on the bigger picture. Less of a reversal on corn so far. Substantial on soy, but if you look at these, this could, if you squint a bit, be a head and shoulders, which is breaking down here on wheat. We got a possible head and shoulders could form on corn here, and I'm wondering whether we reached a head and shoulder neckline on soy. It's got me wondering. Talk about those more on the bigger picture charts. On the live cattle, we've got a little. We made the buy signal target. We've got a little level bottom, which is broken up with a target in the 231.6 area. And lean hogs, the IHS up here failed. Little head and shoulders made target in spades. Not sure what's happening here. It looks a bit large for a bear flag. I am wondering if we're going to head back into a retest of this low. We shall see. So we shall see. All right, great. Let's have a look at those on the bigger picture charts. And coffee. This looks like a bullish consolidation. RSI 5 sell signal has reached the possible near miss target. In terms of sugar, this looks like a triangle forming, but I'm going to lean to the bull side because we've got this very nice looking falling wedge which is broken up on the weekly. Very possible we need to retest the low though, to set up a double bottom. Cocoa, sell signal made target, no current diversions. We've got a nice looking inverted shoulders here, and I'm wondering we could break up at any time. If it was to make the ideal right shoulder low, that would be a little lower in the 4843 area. We've only made it down to 49.92 at the moment, but it would, if it turned back up here, that would be fine. In terms of lumber, we've now got a weekly RSI 5 sell signal fixed, and we've got an RSI 14 sell signal fixed on the daily. And a move down with some conviction here. I'm wondering if we're finally going to see this bearish setup play out. We've got a very nice bearish setup. We've had it for ages, years, since this. It's been over a year since this double top breakdown. No, a little under a year. But we've also got a huge bear flag that's been forming now for a fairly epic 3.5 years, and this all roads lead down to a retest of this low here at 35250. I'm wondering if we finally might be starting that move. All right, looking at the daily chart there, obviously we've got the RSI 14 sell signal fixed. We've reached a possible head and shoulder neckline, wondering about that right shoulder bounce here and then down. In terms of cotton, wondering about a possible retest this high, or possibly ABC, a lower low to as part of a bull flag forming. Leaning towards the upside here, but we'll see. Cotton doesn't seem particularly convinced, and actually the other grains all suffering more than I was expected over the last week. In terms of the daily chart here, we do have a double bottom, which is broken up with the target in the 8730 area. Not showing a lot of enthusiasm for going there so far. In terms of wheat, we've got a weak RSI 14 sell signal fixed on the weekly. Nice looking double bottom, which is broken up here with a target in the 739 to 742 area. And we will see. But at the moment, we almost made it, and then we've seen this steep pullback. Haven't got that far below, but it's got further than that. It's got below the daily middle band here, which surprised me a bit. We did have a daily RSI 5 sell signal that has now made target. In terms of corn, no current divergence. We've got a lovely double bottom here, but it hasn't broken up yet, and of course it might not. But that on a sustained break over 504.5, that would have a target in the 624 to 640.5 area. In terms of the daily chart, RSI 14 bicycle has reached possible near miss target and a sharp retracement here, which has got us back below the daily middle band again. In terms of soybeans, we've had this IHS forming for a while. That's broken up, and of course, every IHS, you can head up to the target, or you can retreat back to the lows, a retest of the low. And generally speaking, it will do one or the other. This could be suggesting that we might actually go back and retest the lows. My lean would be that we would head up towards the target in the 1560 area. In terms of the daily chart, we had a daily RSI 5 sell signal here. That has now also made target. All right, great. Let's have a look at crypto. All right, now crypto, looking at Bitcoin. Bitcoin has not been joining in with the equities enthusiasm. We've still got an RSI 14 buy signal fixed on the daily chart, and that still hasn't made target. We're still below the daily middle band. On the hourly chart, we had an RSI 14 buy signal that reached the possible near miss target, and we've got a possible head and shoulders trying to break down here, or we could be making the right shoulder on a slightly better version. So I'm still loving a retest of this low here at 57.7. I was thinking if equities would cooperate and go down, that would probably help, and at the moment we're not getting that. In terms of Solana, Solana, this has been pretty weak as well. On the daily chart, we're below the 50 DMA, we are below the daily middle band as well. Do we have a pattern to take us back to the lows? No, but we've finally broken this rising support, or at the very least we have tested it. The RSI 14 buy signal, this one actually failed. So I haven't marked that in yet. I'll be doing that tomorrow morning. Have we tested this trend line, or have it fell below it? Nope, it's a test. We could still be very, very slowly forming a bear flag here. That is not a break below it yet. All right, let's have a look at, although I have to say, it is nice that it's tested it, because that does confirm that we've got basically a bear flag support trend line. It could be a triangle support trend line, but one way or another, this should deliver a retest of the low here at 60.12. All right, looking at Ethereum. Ethereum has been pretty weak over the weekend as well. RSI 5 sell signal fixed on the daily, which has reached the possible near miss target. We are still testing. No, we've broken down below the daily middle band. Right. It was holding that all of last week. This is encouraging because we've got a nice looking little double top here, which could break down, but we've got this nice looking flag set up, which which I was a little worried when we went back for the last retest. But it's holding, and the next obvious target is to head down, ultimately with a target at a retest of this low here at 15.0530, and that is developing currently pretty well. All right, great. In that case, I think that's a wrap. Everyone take care, and I'll catch you guys again on Wednesday. All right, cheers.